Hello, and welcome to another webinar of Wenalyze for the series Insurance is all about data. My name is Roger. I'm Chief Operating Officer and co-founder at Wenalyze. And today we're here to talk about how to use open data in commercial insurance with a clear return of inversion. I am privileged to be speaking to Agustí. Agustí, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, Roger. Of course. I'm Agustí Pascual. I am head of Zurich Empresas in Zurich, Spain. I've been leading for the last few years the strategy and transformation for the SME segment, and open data and underwriting automation has been one of my focus. So I'm very happy to share this time with you, Roger, to speak about this once again.
Thank you. Agustí and his team has been working with me and my team for several, I would say, a couple of years in different projects, all of them regarding open data and how to use them. So we believe that you are the perfect person, the ideal person to talk about this topic. And I guess to start with, we need to understand, to begin with, how and why is open data necessary to be used in commercial insurance. So why do you think so, Agustín?
Look, I think open data is necessary if you want to know better your customer. So it's not required to use open data, but we can always ask any question we want to know about the customer directly to the customer. But then if you want to know this customer better and as a result provide a better customer experience whenever you deal as an insurer with a customer, I think open data is necessary. And also, open data helps us, the insurers, to better manage our risks. It's not just the moment when we are dealing with a new customer who is looking for a new policy, and to be part of the to be insured by us, in this case by Zurich. It's also, once this customer, we have it in our portfolio, how we manage better this individual risk, and as a result impact in the whole portfolio. So I'd say, for example, something that we have seen that it was very useful for us to use open data during COVID-19. Many restaurants started to do to include delivery service in their businesses. So thanks to the use of open data, instead of asking each one of our customers, "Hey, are you now doing deliveries?" and in turn having new risks that we could help the continuity of this business in that case. We used open data to identify which businesses had changed, and then we knew them better, we could help them better, and so on. So that is why I think it's necessary to better know the customer, in short.
Yeah, so one of the benefits, as you are mentioning, is you don't have to bother or call each one of your clients to know if anything in the risk has changed. What other benefits do you think are there for using open data?
Yeah, many. And when we talk about using the data, always it's mindful to specify that everything we do around data needs to be data compliant. And I know providers like you, obviously, since data is your core business, you're up to date with that, and also as an insurers. The nice thing about open data is that it has many benefits along the whole value chain of the insurance business. And that, for example, if we have better insights about the customer needs, we can, and in an aggregated manner, we can design better products. And then if we have better products, we can also think about this experience with the customer in the onboarding, on whenever it's quoting a policy, or an agent or a broker or a distributor is quoting a policy, how we can automate that underwriting process. Or we can optimize how we manage the portfolio once we have already that customer in our book, or even how we can handle claims better if we have more information than the one that appears in our maybe a paper policy from an old customer. These are all uses that can be applied, where open data can be applied to have a positive impact on the insurance processes.
Yeah, I think you started this answer by saying that all data has to be compliant. I think a quick note on that is that when we talk about data in general, it can be a very sensitive topic. The difference here is that if it's personal data, data belongs or is related to individual policyholders, there's a data protection regulation attached to it, so that's a more sensitive topic. When it comes to data linked to businesses or data about businesses, there's no data regulation around it. And actually, the European Union considers that the more open data that we have about businesses, the better, because we can, as you were mentioning, we can have it in claims, we can offer better services, we can have a healthier financial industry in that sense. We can prevent fraud, we can prevent money laundering. So I think the comparison is completely the opposite. It's still open data, but depending on who is related to, there's a huge difference. And on the value chain, I think it's very interesting to think that if you have better data quality, it affects everything. It changes everything. Because then the results you get in everything is just better. The insurance industry is based on making decisions around data. If your data is better, your decisions are better. And I think that's a very simple logic to frame it.
Absolutely. And there is a huge opportunity because the way technology has made available these open data for anyone in the industry, it's about who is willing to capture this opportunity and invest and put the attention and the focus to use this additional available information, whatever it fits. And with the data compliance, we have always to be mindful. Yes, since we are dealing with companies, our customers, we have less restraint than in other customer segments. But we also have to mind that this information that we know about this customer, because it's out there, it's not something that we can put in the contracts that we bind with our customers, because this is regulated per se, and it has another way of complying with the regulation. That's why I put so much attention in knowing better this customer, because it's something that you may not use for the contract, but if you know this customer has different needs, you can provide additional solutions in terms of insurance products and coverages or services or whatever we can help as insurers and distributors also for those customers.
And in the end, if there's a contract between the customer and the insurance company, I think it's also on the interest of the insurance company to know that the data that is reflected on the contract is actually correct. It's legit, let's say, because if we have a contract with wrong data, we have a contract that is reflecting a non-real situation, then we might have a big problem. And I think that can be linked to the next question. All these processes, all this value chain, there are many manual processes behind it, but the input of external data can help to bring automation. So my question here is, in your perspective, how does automation have an impact in your benefits?
Clearly, automation makes my operation more efficient. In the end, I'm trying to attract customers. The more, the better, and then to become scalable, my operation, I need to look into where my team or where my technological landscape is consuming more resources. So anything that goes along with automation looks interesting, no? So to become more efficient, it's key that we can, for example, when we are onboarding a customer, we in Zurich Empresas.es we try to be the go-to site where some micro SME or some SME is looking for information on their phones about any insurance product. So we, with all the digital marketing strategies, we try to be there, and we let the customer decide if they want to quote themselves and input the data that we need to make that policy, to underwrite that policy, or we are available to have a chat on the phone or over email or over the chat on live. So the more we can automate the information gathering about this customer, the better, because we can serve them faster and provide a better customer experience in this first interaction that we have with customers. So that is a clear benefit of an automation. Also, another benefit, which is the one that I related before, whenever we are already insuring this customer, for example, on renewals, all the insurers, we have our renewal processes where we see if we have to adjust the policies, we see if we have to change rates, or we can identify if any of this customer that is already in the books has had a relevant change in their activity or in their risk, in their size, in their revenue, number of employees. In theory, any intermediary should be up to date on the changes of the customers. But in reality, this is a challenge because there is a flow of information that is not always 100% complete. So using open data helps us become much more efficient in these renewals because we can identify these changes. And here, companies like Zurich, which just turned this year 150 years, we have customers that have been in our book for a very long time. And as a result of maybe mergers, acquisitions, and things that in the past result in that we have in our book, customers that provided their data long time ago in paper probably or on the phone, and this needs to be adjusted. So in every renewal process, our objective is to improve the quality of this information we have on our books and better manage those risks. Also, a very clear example that we have recently made a good use of this open data. In Spain, currently, all the property line of business for SMEs and for commercial lines has been for 4, 5, 6 years with a lot of issues in terms of profitability. It's a market issue. No, weather events, changes in the economic downturn, all this impacts the overall profitability. So us, like many other companies, we are looking in detail in those risks that we understand have carried changes or we should insure better, different. So, for example, I can look at 10,000 customers in my book that I want to understand better if this customer has the right protection at the right price. To do so, I can take my underwriting team and look in detail and go over each one of these policies and start with the first one by policy number and go until the last one. And this can take months, years. It's many hours of time. With the use of open data, at least I can have red flags depending on which activity this company is really doing, because someone may have told me that they are a store that sells shelves, and over time this company may have turned into a metal scrapping industry. It's very different, the kind of policies that they need to be properly insured. in the event of a claim. So this happens, and many also we see an increase during this macroeconomic environment that is changing, that companies, of course, adapt, and SMEs in Spain, like any other country in Europe, is over 60% of the economy is run by smaller companies, and they change, they adapt, they shift their businesses. It's normal. So insurance need to adapt with them, and in this case, using open data helps us adapt faster and also nail down where do we want to start. And this has definitely been a positive impact of us starting to use open data.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that around 60% of the companies, maybe even more, are small and medium enterprises.
99% of the companies
yes,
are small and medium enterprises. That they account for 66% of the economy of
correct.
Spain. So yeah, when you look at commercial lines, yes, of course, large companies are a huge part of the economy and employment, but again, Spain, as many other countries, is a small businesses country.
And it's like that, I think, for the majority of countries in the world generally, but also in Europe. So we can understand or assume that any traditional carrier that has commercial insurance, the majority of their clients will be small and medium enterprises. And when it comes to automation, we've seen a lot of times in conversations with them, a automated solution for a big risk doesn't make that much sense compared to a small risk, because for a big risk, for example, an airline company, you can dedicate your whole underwriting team to work on it because the premium is so high that it is worth to spend the hours that it takes to underwrite properly that kind of risk. But when it comes to a coffee shop in the corner and the premium is 300, 400 euros, and you have 50,000 of those, you don't have the ability of checking one by one if anything changed. And we know that traditionally those business owners, they don't really call the insurance company. They don't pick up the phone and say, hey, I've changed this. Hey, I've hired someone else. Hey, I moved my shop. Hey, I'm opening a new shop. Because naturally they don't think about it. So when it comes to automation, I think the ability of understanding that something changed without asking or without expecting them to let you know can provide a lot of benefits. So in that sense, my next question is, where do you see like an economic benefit from automation and from open data ingestion? Where do you see?
As I said, I mean, the benefit on the operational side of the business is that it's making the whole processes more efficient. As you say, and it's a common trait in general in all entrepreneurs or business owners. Their main focus is to run their business, to grow their business, to generate this income that usually supports their family. So their focus is on the business. And risk management is not something that is on their top priorities. And we see this across many researches. So then they rely on their agent, their broker, or their insurer to help them manage those risks. And to do so as if you would with a large corporation, it doesn't make any economical sense as a business. No, it makes a lot of sense, of course, for that customer, but we couldn't simply do that because it's too expensive. So automating processes using open data makes the operation more efficient. That is where there is a margin, because we simply dedicate less resources because the underwriting process becomes automated on parts of it. There always needs to be an interaction with the customer, and the customer may need to of course, make sure that whatever we think we're insuring is right. So policies need to be adapted to those. But in the end, companies of a small size are standard in many ways. And when us as insurers, that we have all this data and history insuring same traits of customers, we have to be able to provide a solution that it feels specific for the customer, but it also aligns with all this information that we know about insuring that specific risk. Also, we increase conversion. If we have an automated way of knowing better the customer, we can definitely increase our conversion rates whenever we are offering better products to these customers. And we can identify also opportunities for cross-sell and upsell. So all these changes in the customers, all the changes in revenue, employees, or activities, or locations, all these generate additional revenue streams for us. So that is also a way of generating a margin for us. And in the end, we see how profitability tends to increase if you use information better.
So I think the key question now, we know now what is the benefit. The key question now will be, how long does it take to see that benefit? If we invest in a solution that provides open data, when do you start to see a return of inversion?
I'd say on the operational side, it's pretty immediate, because you change your processes, you adapt whoever you are dealing with, if it's an intermediary or if it's your interaction with the customer, that sees results. Obviously, there is always a change management process and an adaptation period, but in 2 or 3 months, whenever you automate a relevant process, you can see benefits just simply because there is less time allocated to that. Whatever was taking for an underwriting service specialist 10 minutes, now it's 2. So we can do more or dedicate our time to more value-added activities. In terms of profitability, loss ratio tends to be slower in capturing all these benefits. Clearly, I'd say you need to run your portfolio and the renewals for 1 year, 2 years, I'd say, to see relevant changes. It's hard to say sometimes, but there is also a key element for us as insurers, that the portfolio cleanup is key. And even if it's for a very small percentage of your portfolio, it's good that you identify which risks you know that they are not insured the right way, and you need to provide a solution. Or if you don't agree with the intermediary or with the customer, you need to be clear on your criteria, even if it's just for a healthy small amount of these customers. But mostly is how you can insure better those customers that you are there to serve. So portfolio, it may take 1-2 years, but you clearly see relevant improvements, and you can easily factor in all these investments that you can need to improve your underwriting automation. I mean, over time, it pays off because you have a healthier book.
So I think if there's anyone working for a commercial insurance company that is seeing this webinar, and I think now is the moment where insurers are thinking about using open data in a more committed or stronger way. If someone who's watching this is considering using this type of solutions, and you have to give one top recommendation, I know this is challenging, but what would be your recommendation to that person?
One recommendation. When it comes to innovation and in the end, the use of open data in the insurance industry is still an innovation, because it's not generally implemented or used. I'd say to, after assessing your internal capabilities, that usually in this case, the use of open data, there is always someone who knows how to do dark web scraping, or how to connect one database with your quoting engine. This may happen, but the recommendation for me would be to partner with someone who can have an expertise specific in this area, so you can be faster on implementing it. Based on my experience, even if it represents some adaptation, to partner with someone, make it part of your team, having an insurtech or a startup or an established company that provides the services that you need to drive this innovation. So don't think much, partner and try to execute something, because when you go with an expert on this area of innovation, you can simply cut the time that you would have to dedicate if you want to do this as an insurer. So that would be my top recommendation.
Yeah. Yes, of course, and we know that sometimes insurers are not the fastest player for many reasons, of course. But I think using the agility of a startup or another external company for these kind of solutions can really short the time that you have to wait until you see those benefits. So that's it. These are all the questions. I hope this was useful to you. Thank you so much, Agustí, for joining us today. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you had fun.
I did, as always.
Perfect. And thank you for watching this webinar or for listening it. We have another webinar next month. Insurance is all about data. We'll see you next time.